Hi everyone, Joe here. Welcome to my 2019 fall house tour. And today you can see it's a rainy day here. Yesterday was 95 degrees, which is about 35 degrees Celsius. And today it's 54 degrees, which is about 12 degrees Celsius. So it's quite a drastic change. Yesterday felt like middle of summer and today feels like full out fall. So here we are going into the entrance, and I'll pick you up when we go inside. So as we enter into the front door, I created this big statement for a welcoming fall with these huge sunflowers. And what I did here was I used the newel post as the base, and I put garland on there, and then I wove in these giant sunflowers, and I also put in amber and white lights because I wanted a very soft glow, and pine cones. And let me take every view from it. So it's a really great welcoming statement, like hello when you walk in the door. And they are about as big as a person's head. That's how big those blooms are on those sunflowers. And down at the base, just a couple of suitcases and leaves and some glassware there. This piece, I recycled old upper kitchen cabinets into this foyer table. And as you can see, it's a great profile because it fits right into that wall. So for those of you that have not been following my series, I'm doing a Tuscan-esque fall. So I chose not to do anything whimsical inside the house. The only thing whimsical is I did add this witch right here just for a touch of whimsy, and also because I ran out of pumpkins, because there was really supposed to be pumpkins there, but I didn't go out and buy any more, and I had her, and I like her, and Marianne likes her, so I put her out there on this entrance table. So you can see here what I did was I used a fall runner, a couple of the flameless candles, these dishes from my mother-in-law that we used to have our pasta on Sundays on. This tray, which was given to us by a friend with the grapes on it, so again, carries out that Tuscan theme. This little picture right here with the apples and the pears on it, again, very Tuscan. So, and of course the picture of Italy right there. So I tried to make this as not overboard Tuscan, but as Tuscan as it can get. And yes, it is very Italian. Take a look at this lamp right here. This was my mother and father's lamp, and it's been in the garage for about 20 years. I took it, I painted it, I got these crystals from Amazon, and I reused it again because I think it is just so appropriate for this year's fall decor. So let me back up so you can take a look at what that looks like from here. Okay, next we're going to move into the family room and try to give you a look from here. As we enter into the family room, we see the sofa table right here that I decorated with a pumpkin patch up on the top. And in fact, there's a little sign there that says, "Welcome to our pumpkin patch." That's a topiary that I made, and I just interchange what's in it for different seasons. I put leaves in it for now. I might put in eggs for Easter. I'll just leave it plain for the spring and the summer. In the spring, sometimes I add forsythia in the summer, just plain. So here we see I used a grass carpet runner, and I have a bale of hay and some leaves and the pine cones and whatnot. And then down below, that was very controversial when I did this tour of the room. A lot of people told me to get rid of those purple pumpkins. But you know what? I just thought that it was a burst of color, and it tied in with the grape theme that you're going to see very shortly. And I just left them. And again, I think I simplified how I would usually do this. It's very soothing to the eye because your eye will go either to those bright pumpkins or to that pumpkin patch and not have visual clutter all over the place. Here at this tiny hutch that we have in the family room, I used a lantern that I repurposed for many things, but I turned it back into a lantern this year by simply placing another light inside it. And then here we see the beginning of the grape theme of the Tuscanesque fall. I put the grape lights draped around the upper part of the lantern, and then I have cascading leaves coming down the one side of the lantern. And then within the hutch over here, I just simply put some glass pumpkins, some plates in the background, and here I have some glittery sugar-covered fruit and pumpkins, and you get a better view of those plates. And again, more down here, some glittery pine cones, the plates, and so on. Let me back up a little bit so you can get a better look at that. So you see how the leaves are asymmetrical down one side to compensate for the weight of that big lantern that's up on the other side. On this wall right here, I took a pair of old shutters that I had in the garage and I painted them a burgundy color, and then I stenciled on top of them with a stencil that I used throughout this season, which you'll see. It's some leaves and some tiny little flowers, and then I hung them up on the wall. This sconce, I carried the color. I used a Dollar Tree carvable pumpkin and I painted it burgundy, and then I just added some foliage around it. And then I changed out my picture here with the burgundies and the beiges of the room. So this wall is very cohesive in color tones. So this room is where we spend most of our time, and you can see Marianne. Marianne is my wife, for those of you that don't know me and just found me right now. There's her comforter right there, her nice plush blanket, I should say, that she lays on the couch and watches TV. And I usually sit over there with that plaid one, and this is where we spend most of our time. Here on the coffee table, what I did was I just have a little basket there for our remotes and glasses and whatnot, and flameless candle and candy, kisses and M&Ms. And I just had that huge beaker that I had from school, and actually somebody in another school was throwing it out, and I scooped it up and I used it for my pumpkins and some greenery and some foliage. Okay, so let's take a look at the mantle, and then I'll take a close-up look. On each side of the mantle, because the room is so symmetrical, I basically did the same thing. You see down on the bottom shelf, I have a terracotta pot, which I use with some fall foliage. The plate, everybody knows that plate. I think we all have it from Dollar General, I think maybe. And then I just took a frame that I thought had a very Tuscan look to it, and I put a leaf inside of it. And then on the top shelf, another one of those plates, a little glassware with some flowers in it, and then the lamp with the burgundy shade so that it all ties together. This garland, what I did was I made a cascading garland using large leaf picks, and I made my pumpkins like an topiary on each side. I used floral foam in order to create that look, and I use toothpicks so that they hold in there and don't fall all over the place. I then enhanced it with some pine cones and some acorns that I made from plastic Easter eggs. I painted them brown, and then I used some twine for the top. Okay, so you can see as I'm coming across, I used a combination of white crackle pumpkins, burgundy pumpkins that I painted. Those are the dollar store pumpkins, and other pumpkins, orange and white, that I got from the Christmas tree shop. And then down at the base, what I did was I used a basket with some wood in it, and again some foliage, and then on the other side just the irons that are used for the fireplace. Obviously this is a gas fireplace, so I don't really use those, but I thought it would give a nice autumn kind of a look. And then on the opposite side right here, again, that table. Let me back up. Hopefully it doesn't get blurry so you can get a look at, again, what that looks like. And honestly, I really like looking at that. Again, it doesn't show up as well on video, but those are white and amber lights, and it's really, really soft. I have all the lights on so you can see this, but actually it's very, very somber looking. Here we are coming into the library, and we're greeted by this cherub that we use. Marianne loves this cherub, and I use it in almost every decoration that we have. I use the wreath down on the bottom with some foliage in it. I created a little bouquet for him to be holding in his hands with a pumpkin and some leaves and a tiny little crown that's on his head and with some leaves on it. And I highlighted it with a spotlight. Over here, I used a blanket that has the colors that I'm using, the burgundy, the burnt oranges, and the greens, and again, the burgundy pillows. Sorry for that blur, that kind of distracted me. Over on this side, what I did was I created this box. This is, I just put a plastic bag in there, and then I put some Christmas garland, a couple of pumpkins, and some foliage once again. And then over on this side, I have this very large glass bowl that belonged to my mother, and inside of it I put a pumpkin, some foliage, some Christmas garland just as a base, and we have a big container back there of beans. Here in the wall unit, what I did was I just created again a symmetrical look. On each shelf I used a picture of falling leaves, and I alternated them back and forth to again give the idea of the cascading leaves. And I used some very simple, I kept it really, really simple. And even in the middle there, you see that tray with Thanksgiving. I did a touch of Thanksgiving in this room. And then up on the top, I just have that great wicker basket up there that kind of has a pumpkin shape, and a couple of green vases, the lamps, and some garland with some fall foliage. Here's a close-up of that plate. That plate has to be over 40 years old. That was the plate that my parents actually used to put the turkey in for Thanksgiving. And then we have our little pilgrims right there. And again, very simple. I wanted to keep it very clean and neat looking. Okay, we're coming back into the family room again, and this is the view. You can see the little hutch from here and out into the foyer. And I'm going to come around, take a look at the kitchen. So as we swing around right here, we see I did this big arrangement of leaves on the table. These are actually really Crimson King leaves. They're live leaves because I thought it looked really great, and you know, I can always go out and get a few more when we have people coming over. And up on top of the windows, I used a Christmas garland, and in here I continued that sunflower motif. You can see up here I have some wicker baskets and some garland up there with the sunflowers and some other kinds of foliage. Over on the side right here, we just have this simple little thing to carry the idea of fall over. I use some burnt oranges and greens and pine cones and leaves and another angel. We like our angels. Up on top of the sink right here, I kept it really, really simple this year. I just simply put in some leaves. And that was it, because I emptied out the china closet because I did it in a Tuscan style, and I put some of the china that's usually there in this, and I thought it looked very formal looking, and I wanted to keep the integrity of that, so I just added a few different leaves, and of course those cherubs, because we love our angels and our cherubs. Here on top of the mantle, on top of the cooktop, again, I have the sunflower idea and the foliage, and just to make it a cohesive look in this room. I don't like things all over the place. So here is a view of the kitchen, all decked out for fall. I always like this view of the family room into the library. I think it looks very festive, and as I'm backing up now into the dining room. So here on the sidebar, what I did was I used a burgundy runner, and I have these books which I used paper book covers on, and I stenciled that leaf pattern again on there. And again, remember, we're very Tuscan-esque, so I created this topiary using gourds and pumpkins and leaves and so on. And then up above, what I did was I have a wreath with some grape lights on it. So here is a view of the sidebar, and of course the mirror amplifies that. It gives it a really nice lit look. I'm going to turn around, try not to get blurry. There you go. And here is the table over the top set. Now this is for display purposes only. We can never really have a dinner party with all this stuff on it, but remember, it's for display only. And what I did here was I used three actually placemats to create a runner down the center of the table. And then I made these topiaries using fruit and grapes and flowers and leaves for my candles. And they are on pillars that also have the grape motif on them. And then these, which also have a grape motif, I just used some leaves on. This is actually a light fixture, and I thought it looked very Tuscan, and I made it into a bowl. So I used in here pumpkins and corn and acorns and walnuts and things like that. This center arrangement I created also, and I had this urn right here, which again I thought looked extremely Tuscan. And I added in layers of green, burgundy, pale green, and orange with the feathers up on the top. Sorry, the phone rang. And then I created that again on this side, the same thing. And you see I have some fruit just rolling around on the table just to complete the picture. The place setting, what I did was I kind of juxtaposed the more elegant with more rustic. This is just stoneware that we used to use a long time ago. I have it on a leaf as the place setting. And here what I did was I created a leaf out of a napkin, tied it with raffia, and also added a little bit of burgundy. So here is a view of the table. Let me go over by the china closet for you. Inside the china closet, I tried to create a very Tuscan look. I used that biscotti jar, which I found in a thrift store, and these plates with the grapes and the fruits, again in a thrift store. And take a look, there's a book again with that same leaf motif on it, and some containers with grapes on it. And on the second shelf, I have my grandmother's a picture that she brought over from Italy with her, and more of those plates and fruits and grapes and so on. And down below, again, have another little teapot with the grape theme more fruit plates, and so on. So that is in the center of the china closet. I took everything out of the china closet this year to create this look. Then on each side, I'll just show you one. I have a grape plate and I use some wine bottles. You see it in the background over there. There's a wine bottle. And then down here, the iconic rooster and for Tuscan. And then again, another grape plate with the wine bottle. Up on top of the china closet, what I did was I used the grape lights and I used a variety of wicker baskets and foliage and vases to create a nice full look. And there's the china closet. Over here is my Tuscan fall tree. And I'm going to pause because I'm experiencing some blur problems. Sorry, my phone is just horrible. Anyway, I created these. I took some old Christmas ornaments and I painted them purple, and I created these clusters of grapes on my fall tree. Again, no whimsy on here, and I even cut down on like amount of leaves. Instead, I used a lot of glittery things, the burgundy and the brown glitter leaves, and a lot of gold picks that I normally use in Christmas. And then I even use these curly Q picks to give that look of the grapes, the curly little thing that holds it on a vine. And you can see I have on here some gold ornaments, some chocolate brown ornaments, and some burnt orange ornaments, and even some burnt orange pumpkins. And I highlighted that with some burgundy flowers. This is one of those really thin pencil trees from Walmart, and it's excellent for this kind of stuff. I mean, it doesn't want to hold ornaments very well. You have to, I do anyway. I use floral wire to tie them in because they do like to fall off when you put them on. So there is my Tuscan tree. Let me try to back up a little bit. And that also has on the burgundy and white lights. That's the color scheme I used throughout. Over here on the serving table, I used a very Tuscan looking vase there, or jug. It's actually a jug. And I created a blooming lamp that we've all seen. And again, I'm going to give Liz credit because from Traditions by the Seasons, she's the first person I saw actually do it. And it inspired me to make this. And again, a little jug, some candles and whatnot. That's the little server that's in the dining room. So you can see out into the foyer from here. So let me walk over to the living room. Here in the living room, I had this vase, this big vase, and it was black, and I painted it and I stenciled on it again using that same stencil. I used it throughout. Remember, I like, the same kind of thing. I like a theme throughout. And up on top, I got some branches from the yard and I hot glued on all of those leaves up there to make this big statement in the corner of the living room. So if you notice, I used a lot of, acorns in here and pine cones and a lot of the burgundies. You see, I used a lot of the warmer tones, the hunter greens, the burgundies, the golds, and whatnot. And then on each side of the fireplace, I have a topiary that I put on pine cones and the burgundy and the white lights. Down in the firebox itself, I used an urn and I used more of those grape lights in there. And then up on the mantle, instead of using, a garland like I would normally do, I created that center arrangement with some topiaries for the candles on each side and some blinking icicle lights that I use for just a soft twinkle up on top of the mirror. I'm going to go in close so you can see that. Simple little side arrangements that I did on the table. So here's this tree so you can see it close. I used the leaves, I used some pine cones, and some grapevine in there. Down on the bottom, here is a closer look of that urn, and I used the grape lights and some other foliage in there, and I used that garland along the base to hide the cord because I can't stand seeing wires all over the place. Up here is a close-up of the topiary that I made. I just used a styrofoam block, and I put it on top of this candle holder with some leaves and some flowers, dollar store pumpkin that I painted, and I cut the top out to put the candle in. I don't know why my flameless candles went out. There you go, I put them back on. Okay, so here is the arrangement that I made here. I used this great looking container, and I just made it bursting with pumpkins and picks that I wanted to extend up to the top of the mirror to meet up with the cascading leaves. That's regular icicle lights from Christmas. I painted the cord orange, and then I hot glued on those leaves. And then the other side table. Okay, everybody, so that brings us to the end of my house tour for fall 2019. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like anything in particular, you can always check out my channel. Go to my channel, Joseph Cinque, C-I-N-Q-U-E, and I have all of these rooms separate in how I did, what I did, and also, if you would like to become a friend and follow me on Facebook at Designs by, that's one word, Designs by Joe, and you can show me some of the things that you've created as well, and we can share those things. And like always, I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel, put on that notification bell. Christmas is coming up, and I don't want you to miss any of the craziness that I'm going to be doing for Christmas. So once again, and also look for my wife's Marianne's cooking videos. And I guess that's about it. So I hope everybody is having a great autumn and you're having a great day. And I look forward to hearing from you. I love hearing from you. Your comments are always wonderful. And I appreciate so many of the friends that I've made here on YouTube that always keep in touch. It's absolutely great. Okay, everybody, take care. I'll be seeing you soon. Bye-bye.